afternoon. Hello. My name is Charlie Peterson, and I am Doris's stepson. I wanted to say, number one, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us today to celebrate Doris's life. It's kind of tough, and Cassie, you gonna get that? Thank you. She's on it. She's getting it shut off. By the way, what she's over there turning off at the moment is our pictures, our slideshows. So we sent out a message and asked people over the last week to send in photos and memories and things like that, which they did very thoughtfully. Appreciate that. And we've assembled that into a video. And if you'd like to take that home with you, you're more than welcome to. We've got a video link, a QR code up there. You can scan that, and the video is available on YouTube, and you're welcome to watch it there as well. For this particular time, Doris's world was huge. There's a tremendous number of people that were a part of her life and a part of her world. And God, I wish we could have gotten everybody here. It would have taken a much larger venue. And as it is, we're doing a pretty good job filling this one up here today with the people who could make it. So I appreciate you being here, and thank you for making that effort. But we're going to record this one as well, just for those folks who couldn't make it and who would like to hear some Doris stories. So that's the point of this, by the way. You know Doris, and Doris was very explicit in her last will and testament that there was no memorial, there was no funeral. However, she didn't say anything about a celebration of life. So that's what this is, and for all of us who loved her and still love her and want to share some stories and share some thoughts, that's the idea today, is we just want to share some of that, share some of those memories of Doris, and be together a bit and remember just an absolutely fantastic person. So to that end, what we're going to do is a little bit of open mic, and so folks who would like to share some stories or some memories, we invite you to come on up. And I know it can be a little imposing or a little intimidating to stand in front of a microphone. I appreciate that. But given that we've got a few other folks who would love to be here, I hope you'll do that and use the mic and make it so everybody here can hear you as well. So, yeah, let me see. Was there anything else I needed to check off? Am I doing good, David? We're doing good? All right, yeah. Once upon a time, we probably would have had several cases of beer. That would have been the celebration that Doris probably would have put up herself. Life is a little bit different these days, but nonetheless, an imaginary toast to Doris there. And so what I'll do, obviously, I think a lot of folks are very familiar with the impact that Doris had as a council member and here in Federal Heights over the past, what has it been, almost a decade now at this point, that she was here and contributing to the community. And I'm very honored to have our mayor of Federal Heights. And Linda, if I could ask you to join us first, and there's a little something that she was going to read for Doris on behalf of that. So thank you, and welcome everybody, and thank you, Linda. Okay, I'm being told I need to be leaning in closer to the microphone. So, okay, let me make sure you're adjusted well.
Yes,
there, how's
good.
that? Does that work?
Thank you. Yes. This is amazing. Doris was amazing, and thank you all for being here. We have a resolution that I'd like to read from the city. Resolution in remembrance of Doris Peterson. Whereas the city of Federal Heights was saddened by the passing of Doris Peterson on June 20th, 2026, and whereas Doris Peterson began her public service with the City of Federal Heights in 2018 when she served on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and whereas Doris Peterson was elected to the Federal Heights City Council in 2019 representing Ward 2 for more than 7 years, and whereas Doris Peterson was chosen by her peers to serve as Mayor Pro Tem, a position she has held for more than 4 years, and whereas Doris Peterson represented the city on the North Area Transportation Alliance, Adams County Commissioners Sub-Regional Transportation Group, and as an alternate on the North Metro Community Diversion Board. And whereas Doris Peterson was a voting member of the Adams County Opioid Council, and whereas Doris Peterson was dedicated to improving her service to the city by attending educational programs offered through the Colorado Municipal League, and whereas Doris Peterson volunteered at activities at Federal Heights Elementary School, the Pinnacle Charter School, and North Glen High School, and whereas Doris Peterson actively participated in the city's community events, promoted beautification efforts by recognizing recipients of the Yard of the Month and holiday lighting contests, supported programs providing residents with free Waterworld and Christmas and color tickets, encouraged the free little libraries located throughout the city, and was a strong advocate for the installation of speed safety cameras along 92nd to improve public safety. And whereas the City Council of the City of Federal Heights, Colorado, recognizes the contributions made by Doris Peterson to the city, extends its heartfelt sympathy and condolences to her family, and presents them with a copy of this resolution to her remembrance.
Thank you.
And personally, I just wrote a few things. Mayor Pro Tem Peterson, I will always remember your dedication to serving the city. I have admired your unwavering strength in adverse situations and your compassion for the residents of the community. Rest in peace, my dear friend. I will miss you.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. So I don't believe we have any particular order or thought. This would be, if you would like to come up and share, by all means, please do so. Otherwise, it'll be real short. Which Doris would probably appreciate, for those of you who know her back that direction. So, David?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say a few things.
You got it.
Hello, everyone. I am David, son of Doris. I just want to thank you all for being here. And there's not much I can say about Mom that you don't already know. She was a wonderful woman, and a wonderful mom. And right now, that's about all I can say, because I'm going to break up here in a minute. So just thank you all for being here.
Thanks, David. So I'm going to jump in and share a little bit real quick, and then I'll turn the mic over to anybody who would like to go on. In the 1960s, if you got someone pregnant, you had to marry them. That's pretty much, I think, how life worked back then. Yeah, granted, I was a little whippersnapper there, but from everything I've heard, that's kind of what happened. And so my father, Pete Peterson, found himself in just that situation and wound up marrying this woman. And I came out of that, so I was pretty happy about that, certainly in hindsight. But it always kind of bugged me, that in my life and in watching my parents grow up, and as I was growing up, there's always this little thing that just was in the back of my mind. It's like, what are these people doing together? They like literally have no shared interests. They are people who kind of like seem to be oil and water. They're both nice folks, and I love them both, but just together, they just didn't make sense. And I think that kind of made sense to them too, because when I went off to college, they got divorced. And I thought, finally, whew, thank goodness. Yeah. And now, I know that most folks thinking that their parents getting divorced probably be a bad thing, but for me, it turned out to be something that was really kind of incredible. And it was really kind of a magical thing in many ways. And I know it seems weird. Magical, why? Because I got that rare privilege of seeing something from my father. I got to finally meet somebody that he chose. In the 1960s, society kind of pushed him into a thing. And again, I'm still happy about that. But now, later in life, when he had the opportunity, he chose somebody to be a part of his life, and he chose somebody that he loved. And that person was Doris, and she chose him. And it was just amazing, because when I got to spend time around Doris, I began she was fun. And it was never an imposition. It was just a lot of fun to be around her. And okay, so of course, of those of you who know that window of her radio days, anybody actually remember her radio days? Maybe a couple of folks. They were a little wild. So she and Pete had several trips to Lake Powell with the radio crew, and they had a lot of fun out there on the lake. And so I got to see that part of him. Then I was also around to be able to see them join together. And if you look at the video, Doris actually saved some of the photos that were taken there. They got married in a lawyer's office in Grand Junction, Colorado. And it was a very small crowd there, just a few folks. I brought a date. I hadn't met my spouse by then.
I didn't even know they were doing it.
Well, it was kind of a quick thing. It could have been one of those spur-of-the-moment things, too. But I'll never forget the lawyer's name, the person who actually did the ceremony. His name was Goodbinder. It was totally fitting for a lawyer to do the wedding ceremony. So the impact that Doris had, though, on my life was not just those moments and somebody new in my life. Really, she became a constant. She became a mother. And it was just through... It was not because she was actively mothering, it's just because she was herself, and she was full of love, and she cared so much about everybody, and thought of others so often, and the same way about me. She never tried to actively mother me or anything like that. I don't think that would have worked, and I wasn't looking for that. But what I got was a friend, and I got this opportunity to have a larger life because Doris was a part of it. And look at this. I mean, a lot of these people here today, you wouldn't be here but with her as well. So I think for the way I'm celebrating her life is I don't know that I've got any little moments that I remember that stand out more than anything else. But what I remember is just the constant nature of every time that a family gathering happened, every time that family got together, there was no question that Doris was going to be part of it, and that she was part of it. Whether that was, it started in Grand Junction. They went to Idaho and did their self-storage unit stuff in Idaho for so long, and I was in Washington. That made it even a little bit closer to visit, so it was nice to be up there for quite some time. And then Bailey, the Bailey years were fantastic, and building their dream house up in the mountains, and it was a lot of fun to be in her life with that. And then when Pete passed, oh my gosh, the surprise of it. I was just so worried that Doris was going to, I didn't know what she was going to do, and we were concerned, and we were going to say, how is she going to carry on? Because if you think about that story, these are people who chose each other. They spent a lifetime together, and with him gone, what would she do? Wow, she reinvented herself. She discovered a new community, and she didn't just show up and say hi. She threw herself into it with everything that she had, the way that Doris does, with her whole self, to be a part of this community. And thank you, Linda, for those words and for sharing with us some of the things she did. I didn't know the full length of the list, and I'm sure that may not even be the full list itself, but it was just tremendous to hear that, and it's just reflective of who Doris is. So it was great to have this extra person in my life, but as I look back on it, I really do consider Doris to be, my mom, and I appreciate the opportunity to have had her in my life. So.
What was the nickname you gave her?
Oh yeah, the nickname I gave her. Oh yeah, there was a nickname that she gave herself early on. She, I think, always was a little worried about being, the stepmother who shows up and and is not, she didn't want to overstep, I think is the right way to put it. And so to be tongue-in-cheek, she gave herself the name Wicked Evil, for being Wicked Evil stepmother. So when we sent cards or email, she would oftentimes sign WE. I was CF. I went by my initials for many, many years. And so she also called herself WE back in response. So good old Wicked Evil Doris. All right. With that, other folks would like to share. Yep. And I'm willing to bet that I could move this mic down, and that might help. Let's see. About there. How's that?
That should be good. Thank you, Charlie. First of all, Charlie was never her stepson. Carolyn was never her stepdaughter-in-law. The girls were never her step-grandchildren. They were always family. They were always her grandchildren, her daughter-in-law, her son-in-law. And so all of this, I think, is part of who Doris was. I am Darlene Sutton. I am Doris's older sister. And there are a couple of things here that David knew his mother all his life. I knew his mother all her life. And I took some notes and things because there's just so much that I could tell you about Doris that you don't know. And I am going to go to my phone and start because my sister Vicki had sent me these things, some information about her, and I think I just need to read it. Let's see where I need to start here. Okay, this one, I may not be starting at the right place, but we'll get it all in there somehow. She asked Doris's friend Linda to write up a narrative about the Forever Friends. Now, Doris, when she was in high school, developed a group of friends that were so close that they continued even after high school. And they called themselves the Forever Friends. And they used to take trips together at least once a year. I'm getting this out of order, I know, but they would do things together all the time. And until they started dying off and their husbands started dying off, they had these trips together. But this is what she's talking about particularly. It's called the Cinderella Project. And Doris started this by calling West High School in Wichita, where she'd graduated, and sending money to the high school to allow a high school senior girl the opportunity to go to her senior prom, and with her dress, her makeup, shoes, purse, hairdo, whatever. And Doris paid for that. And as the Forever Friends became aware of this, they made it a joint project, and they were supporting several girls every year in this prom thing. This is the kind of thing that Doris did without even letting anybody else know. You know, it was just her generosity of spirit, her generosity of heart that she did this. Vicki says, Doris always had an abundance of friends. In high school, she was active in journalism and made friends through her work on the yearbook and the weekly newspaper staff. And she made special friends during orchestra, where she and three of her best friends all played the violin. And Doris admitted, and I'd have to agree with this, that she was not really very good on the violin. But she stuck with it just to be with her friends. She had another group of girlfriends that eventually brought the two groups together, and they became closer and closer, and they became the Forever Friends. And after high school, they kept in touch and eventually decided they needed to meet annually. And they started out meeting in each other's homes, and they lived all over the country by this time. And so they would all plan a trip to one girl's home, and the girl would go around and show them the town and everything, and they would all have a good time together. And said over the years they also visited Chicago, Las Vegas, and Colorado Springs, and their last get-together was a Gulf cruise. Okay, talks about the Cinderella Project again. I knew I took it out of order. And said this is just one of the many projects that Doris secretly adopted and only knew about it because it was her lucky guest and roomie, because Vicki was her lucky guest and roomie in most of these things. Vicki went on all of these trips with Doris's forever friends. Vicki and Doris were closer in age than Doris and I were, so they were, they shared a lot of things that I didn't because I was already grown and gone. Then she posted this, which I think is great fun. She has little-known facts about Doris. She was a square dancer in Altamont, Kansas. Mom and Dad took turns naming us kids, and Dad gave Doris the middle name Raydeen after his two best friends. She was a cheerleader at Friends University in Wichita. And this is really funny. She says, Vicki's husband, Pat, once said that he married the wrong sister when he tasted her cinnamon rolls. She said 3 gasps and 3 mouths wide open. One of us never forgot that. She helped the Idaho legislature write storage facility regulations, and I'll talk more about that later. Lori was born on Doris's birthday. Vicki thought she was independently wealthy after high school because she got a really good job right away. And one of the reasons why she got that really good job was because Doris was old-fashioned enough that at that time she dressed in a hat and gloves and high-heeled shoes to go on that interview for that job. And she got a really good job. It was an advertising company, I think. And she, of course, because Vicki thought she was independently wealthy, Doris bought lots of gifts for everybody, and that was also very impressive. So once when we went to Colorado to visit, we camped out in the mountains, and she brought a big bucket of golf balls she had collected and let my boys hit them off the mountain. Okay, then there's one more thing, and I haven't found it yet. And maybe that was before. Let me go back. And that was I don't know, maybe I did. I did the little-known facts, didn't I? Well, that's enough of that. The rest of it, I took some notes because I was afraid that I would forget a lot of this stuff if I hadn't. One thing that I remember about Doris when she was little was that she started our family interest in spoonerisms. And what she did was, my dad had lost his car keys, didn't know where they were, couldn't find them anywhere. And finally Doris piped up and she says, well, Dad, they're right where you left them. They're on the toffee cable. And so we kind of picked up on that and kept it up. And so in the family, over the years, some of these have developed as family kind of spoonerisms that we all say. For one thing, if we feel like we're dirty, we may either shake a tower or bake a taff. If we were hungry, we might want some dot hogs. Of course, everybody has flutterbys and things like that. But most people, when they leave their home, they don't necessarily hock their louse. All those came because Doris made an accidental spoonerism, and it was funny, and it became a family tradition. Doris was a wonderful travel companion. And of course, the Forever Friends and Vicki would testify to that. But I had several trips with Doris that were just amazing trips. I remember one to Baja California. Once she came down and we went to College Station, which is the home of Texas A&M, because Carly was there with the show Mean Girls. And we went to see that in College Station. So she got to see the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library and things that were at College Station as well. Let's see. Oh, my favorite was when Doris invited me here to go down to take the train from Antonito to Chama, New Mexico, and it was peak aspen season. I mean, it was gorgeous, beautiful. I have the most wonderful pictures of that. They are just amazing. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. We always enjoyed traveling together, and it was just great fun. Another thing that Doris did, you all know that she kept her hands busy all the time. She liked to crochet. She liked to make things for people. She made me, I don't know how many sweaters and things like that. In fact, this shirt has a history. The high school where I was teaching was North Garland High School, and they had modeled their teams and their mascots after Texas Tech, which the colors were red and black, and the mascot was Raider Sam, Yosemite Sam. So I asked her to make me a shirt with Yosemite Sam on it. I did not know that the whole front, the whole of Yosemite Sam would be in beads. And when I wore this shirt for the first time, I was offered $50 for it right off my back. So that didn't happen. As little kids, Doris and I used to sing together, and sometimes we'd sing in a church, and we would sing songs like The Old Rugged Cross and In the Garden. And last Sunday at my church, what did they sing? Yeah, The Old Rugged Cross and In the Garden. And so, it nearly broke me up because it brought that memory back to me, and I hadn't even thought of that for a long time. Doris had a lovely voice. She was an alto, and she could sing harmony, and I was just always envious of that. Doris was a discerning listener. Many of the pictures that I saw that Charlie had up there were pictures of her in the background, just sitting and listening and enjoying what was going on around her. And that was so typical of Doris. She was a willing helper. She was an advocate of the needy and the homeless and the incarcerated. I mean, there was nobody that Doris couldn't have empathy for and compassion for. The books, I'm an avid reader, and so was she. So I would send her books after I had read them. And sometimes she would give those books to the jail because she thought the inmates would need something to read. And I just thought that was just an amazing and wonderful thing. One time when she was at my house, she went with me to my book club, and she was so impressed with it that she said that she thought she would start a book club in Federal Heights in the fall. Well, of course, she can't start it, but maybe one of you will in her memory, and I would love that if I would hear back from somebody that they had started a book club here to honor Doris. Now, when she and Pete lived in Idaho, I know they ran self-storage units, and Charlie referred to that some, but and the legislation that Vicki wrote about, that Doris helped write for the Idaho legislature, had to do with the fact that a gang out of California was storing their stolen property in their unit. And when she found that out and reported it, of course, that's what drew her on then to do that legislation. When she and Pete retired and moved to their forever beautiful retirement home in Bailey, everybody loved it. It was a gorgeous place, and it was wonderful. And Doris loved it too, but she was isolated there. There was no community around her. So I think the best thing that happened to her was that when Pete died and she made the decision to move to Federal Heights, that in a way, it saved her life for a good many years. Because once again, she got involved in community, and she loved the people here, and developed her best friend, Karen Morrison, here. And those things were important in enhancing Doris's character and her development and the things that she was able to do with the community. She loved serving on the city council, and she loved the people here, and she was so, I don't even know how to say this, maybe I'd better back up. She was such a big supporter of the people here, the local people, and what they needed, and what she thought she might be able to help them do, and was a tremendous supporter of the police and fire department. The interesting thing to me was the whole time Doris served on the city council, I kept thinking, I wonder how she can do this. Because Doris, of all people, hated confrontation. And of course, in the city government, you're going to get confrontation. But she did. She hated it. We were all brought up to be peacemakers, but Doris was the peacemaker of us all. She was the one who brought peace in the family whenever she could. She was the one who thought, we're family, we have to be together, we have to do things together, we have to stay in touch. And like I said, David, yes, you knew her all your life, but I knew her all of hers, and every year was a blessed year. Thank you.
Over? Yeah. Here.
Thank you. Hold it like this?
Yeah,
Okay.
just like that.
I'm Vicki, Doris's younger sister. We were very close. We married within 3 months of each other. Lori was born very soon, 9 months and a little later. Then I had Craig, and then she had David, and then I had Bruce. So we lived close together. We couldn't either one of us work because we had 4 kids between us, but we were together every single day. She was there when Craig was attacked by a dog, and she kept me on my feet at least till we got that fixed, and she took good care of him, and he calmed him down when I couldn't. So he got we'd just put his blankie away, and he got it back. So, but anyway, we went through a lot of things together. We shortly, Craig was around 4, and we moved to Kansas City, and I never missed anyone so much in all my life as I did Doris. And I found out really how close we were. And she was I just looked up to her. If she told me something, it was totally true. If she told me how to act, I did my best to act that way. And she taught me everything. After she and Pete got married, she got into doing our family history. She just got into it every inch of her being, and she got on Ancestry and found out things. And shortly after that, I after a few years of her working on it, she just called places and had notes everywhere. I got interested in it with her, and we went on some wonderful trips together. Pat and Pete really hit it off. They played golf, and Pete he said, it's just more fun just to stand here and watch Pat than it is to play. So, but we went to North Carolina on a trip, and we had a book that I had found in the Mormon. They kept wonderful records of everything, and I found a book that was written by an ancestor. Our maiden name was Taylor, and he was Carthage, Missouri, Judge Wilson Taylor, and he had gone back to North Carolina and done all the things that we had pages of census and everything else, and so we found out this was all really, here it is in front of us, all the way to before the Revolutionary War. And so we went, the four of us went on a trip, and my brother Gary went along with us, and we just had a wonderful time. But we went to Golden Valley in North Carolina, a little bitty town that was full of tailors and Toweries. And they intermarried, and so, everything is tailors and Towers. But we went to the cemetery there and to look up our Robert Taylor, their fifth great-grandfather. We knew he was buried there, and we were on the cemetery, and we found the grave, and we got ready to leave, and the minister came out and talked to us, and he sent us down the road to the county's whatever historian, and she had, among a bunch of other things, a book, which I'll tell you about in a minute, but she had our great-great-great-great-grandfather's handwriting, the minutes of the very first Baptist church in North Carolina, in his own handwriting. And so we thought we had died and gone to heaven. That was just wonderful information. But she went on and she said, now I have a book written by Peter Brown. He was a big figure in North Carolina and especially around there. And she said, you need to go look at that. There's something in there you need to see. So she sent us up to the lady that had the books. We got the very last copy that they had printed. And lo and behold, in that book, we found out that we had, through the Taylor side, the Towery side, we had ancestors on the Mayflower, which was really wonderful for us to learn. And one of the ancestors her name was Mary Chilton. She was a 16-year-old girl. Her mother died on the voyage. The father died in the harbor. But she was a pretty active little 16-year-old girl, and she was the first female to step on Plymouth Rock. So, man, so then we find out that her father died in the boat, and so she was an orphan. And the Mayflower Compact, they all had property. Her property was right between Miles Standish and John Alden, and they raised her. So anyway, she married Winslow, who came on a boat later, and so that's our connection that way. But there's a portrait of her, a painting of her stepping on the Plymouth Rock in a museum in Boston. And that's our goal. It was our next goal to go to Boston and see that. But that was Doris. She made everything exciting. Everyone happy. Everyone loved. That's how I was raised. So thank you.
Okay. Other volunteers? Come on up.
I'm kind of what you would call a Johnny-come-lately. When I got to know Doris, she was on the city council of Federal Heights. I had moved up here in Federal Heights in about 1970. I was involved with the volunteer fire department 72 through 83. And so I attended the council meetings, so got a little bit of history here in town. What I found, Doris was one very gracious lady, my perspective. We had something in common, Wichita, Kansas. Wichita is the air capital of the world because Cessna aircraft manufacturing, Beechcraft manufacturing, Boeing manufacturing, and Learjet. Now, Learjet, they don't manufacture anymore, but that is their main maintenance base for about 2,000 Learjets that are still flying. So once she realized that, and then she learned that I was a licensed aircraft mechanic. And so we talked about aviation a lot. She asked a lot of questions, but she also took an interest in the fact that in 1940 is where I was born in McPherson, Kansas, 55 miles north of Wichita. So we had some stories to tell because my family was very involved with hospitality for the servicemen stationed at Schilling, let's see, get it right, Schilling Army Air Base in Salina, Kansas, and then Camp Phillips west of that. And my folks used to have a lot of servicemen at the house, and so I had a lot of stories to tell, and the more stories to tell, the more she asked. She was one very gracious lady, but yeah, I thought the world of her. She, very fair, very honest, and very considerate. And like I said, the best way I can talk about her is the fact that she was one very gracious lady. Thank you.
All right, I'm Cameron. This is Colton. We were Lori's kids, so Doris was our grandma. Oh, sorry. I'm Cameron. This is Colton, my brother. So we were both Lori's kids, and so which makes Doris our grandmother. So we had the same story here to tell. So we're probably just going to step on each other's feet and interrupt each other the whole time, which makes for a great story. But this is the story of our Christmas tradition, and that time Doris gave a 12-year-old a bullwhip for Christmas. So, yeah, no, I mean, you'd think that would be horribly irresponsible, but Colton is completely unmangled despite my best efforts. So it turned out to be a wonderful Christmas gift. But yeah, you want to tell him?
Sure. I don't remember if it was Christmas or not, but we went to their storage unit that they had, and they had a default in a unit. Somebody hadn't paid their rent, so Grandma said we could each pick out one item apiece from the unit. And I'll tell you the two items, but you can maybe guess who picked what. We got a box full of Nintendo games, and we got a bullwhip. Now, the box of Nintendo games we still have to this day. I think the bullwhip was gone within the hour. Taken away by my dad, probably. But it's a good thing that he did, because we might have half as many eyes as we have right now. But Grandma was an amazing person. It's hard to lose her. It was hard to lose Pete, and it was hard to lose my mom. But we have so many good memories with all of them. And even my wife has gotten me kind of back into going camping again, and those were some of our good memories when we were young, going with the cousins and aunt and uncle, and going in the camper with them. And so I feel now going camping again kind of helps keep that tradition going, and it's been good to be close to her again. So thank you guys. I don't know if
Yeah, that Christmas tradition, that game Christmas Greed, is one of the longest standing traditions we have in our family. And it all started with... Oh, yeah, there were swords. There was a hideous lamp that I've heard rumors of, but never actually seen the thing. But, rifling through people who left their stuff there to be rifled through has led to a tradition of us just giving each other crap gifts for Christmas, and it's led to an infinite amount of good times. Grandma was always super supportive. I think when I was on deployment, I got a care package from her like once every other week, which was hard to do because I was all over the place, but she was an infinite well of support. It led to a bunch of great memories, and she's very much going to be missed.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Fate. I am Aunt Doris's youngest niece on the Taylor side. And I'm very fortunate to have had two very cool aunts. And Aunt Doris was the epitome of cool aunt. Like, you could look it up if that was a phrase in the dictionary. That picture would be right there. But one of the things I just want people to know, if they don't already know this about her, was she was just the best person to be present or gift giving when it came to important life events. When my cousin Dana got married, my aunt had made her little ring bearer pillow, and of course I saw it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just gorgeous. Like, she has a knack for crafts. And so of course I think it was at Dana's it was at the rehearsal dinner, and it was at Eric and Lori's rehearsal dinner, and so they were the one that got married first. Sorry, I said Dana's, but it was Eric and Lori's wedding. So Eric is Aunt Vicky's youngest son. And anyhow, she made one for me with the colors that were in my wedding. And, she made Mom her shirt. And at all of the great niece and nephew graduations, she and Aunt Vicky and my mom would show up wearing something that they either made or bought representing those kids, so that, everybody felt very special around Aunt Doris. And I know that that's nothing new. But just a funny little anecdote that I'd like to share, because my family knows this, but I think more people that know Aunt Doris should know. Obviously, she's a Broncos fan. Most of my family that hail from Kansas are Chiefs fans. And I'm probably, don't hate me for this, please, the loudest Cowboys fan. So what that means is I get borderline bullied by my cousins and any relatives who are Chiefs fans about the Cowboys. And therefore, my response to that was to tell my Aunt Doris, when it doesn't affect the Cowboys, I'm on your side. And I love the Broncos. They are my second favorite team, especially the Peyton Manning years. And so she made me a Denver Broncos shirt, which I wish I could have worn today. But anyhow, it was just a testimony of her just gift giving and her thoughtfulness, and just the way she made people feel. Was she would do just little nicks and knacks and gifts for them. And now my kids each have blankets that she made them. She was really good at that too. So when my daughter graduated and made the interesting decision, I'll just leave it there, to go to OU, she made her a blanket for OU, and then my son couldn't be left out. He's just going to be a sophomore now in high school. She made him, and please don't hate me again for this, but this is how loving Aunt Doris was. She made him a Dallas Stars blanket. And I know how Avalanche fans feel about that, but she is that, she's just that loving of a person. And so we're going to cherish those forever. We have a little piece of Aunt Doris with us always because of the things that she gave us.
All right, folks. Oh, please.
Yeah, it's quite the walk from all the way back. You don't realize how far it is up here. You know, it's really inspiring to come up here and hear all the great things from the family about Doris. What I knew of Doris was she was honest. She had integrity. She was pleasant. She was a concerned person for the people, whether it be the family hearing these stories or for our community. The community, wherever she lived, she made the community better. In doing so, she made us better. I feel like I'm a better person for knowing Doris. She was an advocate for what is best for Federal Heights. She got onto the council. She got involved. She could have come down here and just hung out with the residents here in Holiday Hills, but no. She saw a need, and she wanted to be a part of that. And she wanted to make a difference. So many people want to get involved, but it's personal things, it's personal agendas. That was not Doris. Doris wanted things for the people. We, the people. When I ever spoke with her, she was very kind and caring. When I would bring concerns up to her, she would listen and hear me out, and then she'd give me a few cents of, well, think about this or think about that, or that's something we need to look into. But she made herself available, and she listened. That made her a good, not a good, but a great council person. She wanted this community to be safe, whether it be medical, fire, police. She wanted this community to have the best. And that's what she took a stand on. She took some heat on it, but you know what? That was from her heart, and that's what she believed in, and God bless her for that. I was very sad when I heard that she had passed. And she'd be hard to be replaced. So, Doris, we'll see you in heaven. Thank you very much. Love you.
Hi there. I'm Carly. I am the youngest granddaughter of Doris. I just wanted to come up here and say that she had so much love for everybody here, and would be so touched to see how many people came out to see, the community that she built. Doris came into my life never to replace anybody. I had my mom's mom, my dad's mom, and there was always this lovely bonus grandma that I had. She was never trying to step in and take over someone else's role, but just to try to add to this community of love and to continue to grow this lovely family she built. And she always was thinking about everybody and thinking about how she could show her love and support. I know my sister and I were just talking about the May baskets she delivered for people, whether it was just throwing together some flowers, some chocolates, a lovely note, just making sure you were thought about and loved. And she used to make the most beautiful cards on this website she showed me up in Bailey, just to make sure that we all had a note or something special and personalized for our day, or having these big Easter celebrations where they would hide. When we got older, it was lottery tickets, but for a while it was chocolate. And she was always looking for a way to support us and give us love. And we'd mentioned that she came down to visit me on tour, which was very, very special to be able to bring her into my world like that. She is absolutely the reason that I am the person that I am today. As many of you may know, she was a crafty person, and is a large reason that I am as creative as I am today. I came to her my sophomore year of high school. I said, oh my goodness, I don't have anything to wear for Halloween. I can't make anything fit. I can't make anything work. What do? I have this brilliant idea of I want to do a costume from a musical I'm in love with. What do you think? And she sat me down. She figured out exactly how to make it work and showed me everything she knew about sewing and about crafting and all that. And we ended up making my prom dress. That is the top that I'm wearing now. But we would just tackle projects together, and she loved creating and making and supporting. And I think that that's the message I would love for us all to kind of continue to bring forward, is that we are all so loved, and we are able to create community and joy and love within the spaces we have, and that's really important. So I wanted to thank you all for coming out and making an effort to gather. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Duran-Mullica, and I am an Adams County Commissioner who had the privilege of serving with Doris. And this is so tall. I'm just going to go like this. I am so short. Okay. Who had the privilege of serving with Doris on a number of committees. And one of the ones that I really got to work closely with her on was the Adams County Opioid Abatement Council. This was something she was really passionate about, this work. And essentially what we were doing is we, as a council, these were elected members from all over the county, got to get together and we talked about how we wanted to spend these settlement dollars, how do we want to help people. And this is what she loved the most, is talking about these projects, working with these nonprofits who are implementing these services to the community. Her favorites were specifically projects around youth, but then also projects that really helped our inmate population transition back into society. I just really wanted to share that I appreciated her passion. You could tell in all of our discussions that we had that this was something that meant a lot to her, this work, giving back to her community, giving back to not only Federal Heights, but Adams County as a whole. And so it was an immense privilege to work with her, to get to know her. On the side, we'd always have some great conversations. She always had a great joke to liven up the meeting. And so she was just such a wonderful person. And it's a huge loss for Adams County. This morning we had our public hearing at the Government Center out in Brighton, and I wanted to make sure to hold a little space for her. So during my comments this morning, I made sure to give a quick shout out to Doris, her amazing work throughout the county, and what a tremendous loss we have. So thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, family, for pulling this together. And she was a really amazing person, so thank you for sharing her with us.
How we doing? Anybody else? Happy to share the mic, share the floor? Well, thank you to everybody who has joined us here today and to celebrate. I don't know that I have any stunning, amazing closing words. You know, it is hard to just sort of encapsulate all you feel for somebody and all the memories we have in such a short space of time. You know, she was impactful on all of our lives, and I know we'll remember her for a long time going forward. So I think that's just it. Thanks, folks. I appreciate you being here, and thank you for helping celebrate Doris's life. And don't forget, we have cookies and snacks and stuff there. Please don't send us home with 18 plates of cookies. Okay? Thank you, folks.